Kingdom O' Magic is a wacky point-and-click adventure that takes a hilariously absurd jab at fantasy tropes, especially the Lord of the Rings. You can choose between two playable characters: Thidney, a hulking lizard warrior who thrives in combat, or Shahron, a powerful magician with a knack for spellcasting. The game's plot, completely ridiculous by design. Players can pick from 3 over-the-top scenarios: hunt down and slay a dragon, defeat an evil overlord, or assemble a ragtag team of heroes to protect a town from a horde of vicious old ladies. Yes, it's that kind of game. Expect ridiculous humor, bizarre quests, and a fantasy world that refuses to take itself seriously. Kingdom O' Magic's graphics haven't aged gracefully, as it hails from an era when early 3D models were clunky and the transition from 2D to 3D was anything but smooth. The in-game cutscenes, while undeniably dated, are so over the top that they still manage to be amusing rather than off-putting. That said, the game world itself is surprisingly expansive, packed with diverse and charming locations, bustling taverns, quirky shops, ominous caves teeming with orcs, and plenty of hidden secrets to uncover. It may not be a visual masterpiece, but it definitely checks all the boxes for a classic fantasy adventure.
I don't know what you're...
The sound design in Kingdom O' Magic is surprisingly solid, with hilarious voice acting that perfectly captures the game's absurd humor and brings its wacky characters to life. The soundtrack, while not groundbreaking, does a great job setting the mood, whether it's funky beats in a disco, eerie ambiance in dark caves, or relaxing fantasy melodies in the Elven Kingdom. It's a bizarre mix, but it fits the game's ridiculous tone perfectly.
You're low, eh? You foul-mouthed, puss-filled wart.
The puzzle design in Kingdom O' Magic is an absolute mess. In fact, it's so bad that it might actually be enjoyable in a weird, chaotic way. Logic? Forget about it. Trying to solve puzzles with reason will only lead to frustration. On top of that, death is a frequent companion, whether it's from saying the wrong thing to an NPC or simply running out of health. Speaking of health, the game features a hilariously simplistic combat system. Whenever you get too close to an enemy, like orcs or totally not ring wraiths, an automated battle sequence plays out where both sides take damage based on their weapons. The only way to recover? Crashing at a tavern for some much-needed rest. It's clunky, nonsensical, and completely in line with the game's absurd nature. With 2 playable characters, 3 distinct quests, ridiculous puzzles, and a sprawling world, Kingdom O' Magic is certainly packed with content. However, if you know exactly what you're doing, you can blaze through it in about an hour. That said, the real charm of the game isn't in rushing to the finish, it's in aimlessly wandering the world, stumbling into absurd situations, and embracing the sheer chaos. For most players, the real fun comes from exploring its bizarre universe rather than focusing on completing this madness. Overall, Kingdom O' Magic is a tough game to recommend due to its sheer absurdity. As a product of its time, many of its pop culture references may not land with modern players, and its completely illogical puzzle design can be a real test of patience and sanity. However, for those who enjoy off-the-wall humor and chaotic nonsense, it might just be a bizarrely charming experience. How insane does it get? Well, in the first quest, where your goal is to slay a dragon, here's what you have to do. Find a sheep in a magician's palace, take it to the local barber to get wool, give the wool to a granny so she can knit you a sweater, hand that sweater to a random elf in the woods in exchange for a gift, and then bribe the mafia elves who secretly run the kingdom to assassinate the dragon for you. Yup, that's the kind of logic you're dealing with here.
not know my name.
His three assailants are described as elvish, smartly dressed, and extremely similar. Were you in the area? Did you see anything that might be helpful? Perhaps you were standing only 2 feet away, filming everything on a handy camcorder?